Hey YouTube, this is Garrett from Garrett's Tech Lab, back with another video. Today we're here to talk about the Nikon Z7 II and my first impressions. Let's get started. As many of you know, I started off at the top of the year with a Nikon D850. Awesome camera. And around May, I got a great opportunity to get a Nikon Z6. So I grabbed one. I kind of wanted to see what the mirrorless thing was all about. It was my first mirrorless camera, and I absolutely loved the camera and shot with it until September, October sometime. And that's when Nikon announced the Z7 II. And I went all in on the Z platform at that time. The Z7 II has dual X-Speed 6 processors. This will allow for triple the buffer of the previous Z7 and get you about 10 frames per second if it's configured properly. Now, you say, what do you mean by that? It's because you need to hit 50 different little options to be able to get it. And I just wish that Nikon gave you a single button press that would allow you to hit 10 frames per second if that's what you wanted to do. But as it is, there's several options you need to configure first before you can get to that 10 frames per second. It has 493 autofocus points, which covers most of the frame. So again, I was really excited to migrate from my F body to my Z body. The Z7 II is made in Thailand. I know Ken Rockwell had a problem with anything made in Thailand. I don't have that problem. The 70 to 200 is made in Thailand. It is optically the best 70 to 200 that Nikon has ever built. The 24 to 70 though is built in Japan, and then again the body is built in Thailand. I really love the ergonomics of this particular camera. It is a Nikon. The best thing Nikon does is they keep everything pretty much the same. So there wasn't no huge learning curve getting up and running with this particular camera. I was able to go straight from the D850 right into this camera. I like the design, the look and feel. It's all Nikon. Compared to the D850, just the body alone is about half the weight of a D850. Now this 24 to 70, this is a tank of a lens, and it does add quite a bit of weight, but the photo quality is just incredible. Another feature that's in this camera, they have a quiet feature that pretty much eliminates all noise from the camera. It's very good if you're in a museum or you're shooting somewhere where you need to be quiet. The only caveat is that I wasn't aware of at the time is that it will disable the flash. So keep in mind, if you do go with the silent photography option on this camera, you will not have the ability to use the flash. The other thing that this camera does, which is a very small thing, but man, it's a lifesaver, especially the video. You can disable the video from switching back and forth between the monitor and the eye cup. And you can do it by just simply pulling the screen out, and it automatically disables the eye cup. When you're done doing whatever you need to do, close the screen, eye cup's enabled, you're back to switching back and forth. That one little option is like a godsend. I'm just going to tell you, it was extremely annoying on the Z6 with the video source constantly switching between the two whenever you didn't want. You barely move your hand in the back, boom, it was gone. You try to make an adjustment on the camera, boom, it switched back to the eye cup. So that particular upgrade is very much appreciated. The next particular update for the Z7 is that it actually comes with a physical USB-C charger. Now, this is another great upgrade. It allows you to first get away from this big clunky thing that hasn't changed since my Nikon D80, and it makes it real easy to charge the battery. I just usually keep this plugged in at my desk, plug in my camera every night. When I wake up in the morning, boom, I'm ready to shoot. Now, speaking of battery, the battery, I've been able to get 300 pictures, 400 pictures on a half a charge. So I think this will easily get you 700 pictures per battery charge, which is a very good day of shooting. The next big upgrade that Nikon gave us was the dual card slots. Now, I'm not going to get into a big rant over this, but I personally do not like the CF Express and the SD. I would have preferred two CF Express cards. They are essentially like a Ferrari, and that SD card is like a Yugo. If you don't know what a Yugo is, Google that. So if you are writing to both cards in a backup scenario, keep in mind that you're only going to write as fast as the slowest card. So if you have a really slow SD card and a really fast CF Express, I would suggest you write to the CF Express and then just turn around and copy over to your SD card. The image quality, especially from this pair, this 2.8 lens and the body, is phenomenal. The dynamic range that you get from your photos is really impressive. I'm able to get a lot of detail back out of the shadows and out of the highlight areas, and I'm always amazed when I put a photo up of how much detail I can pull out of that photo. I will even say that I typically don't shoot JPEG, but I did it first, and you could get a lot of detail even out of the JPEGs, which I was floored by, because typically JPEGs, being processed photos, don't lend themselves to a lot of photo manipulation, right? Now, speaking of the lens, the two lenses I have are both 2.8s. I have the 70-200 and the 24-70. Both of them are fantastic lenses. The edge to edge, the photos are completely crisp from edge to edge. I really love the photos I'm getting out of these two lenses. Now, if you don't have Z-mount lenses, that's not a problem. They have an adapter that will allow you to use your F-mount lenses on the Z7 II. The next big thing from my D850 to this camera was video. The video on the D850 was awesome, but you needed an operator back there to run the camera because it did not do full-time autofocusing. This particular camera in video has full-time autofocusing, and I don't remember if the Z6 had that, but I do know that this one does, and it is awesome. I'm able to set the camera up on a gimbal, have it track me, and have the camera keep me in very crispy video the whole time I move around. So I'm really looking forward to utilizing this camera as my main video source, and I'll be doing that here pretty shortly. Another option for the video recording, you can send your camera off now and get ProMagic RAW or Blackmagic RAW support. For the Z7 II, 4K 60 is already available and built into the camera. I know that for the Z6, that 4K 60 is an upgrade that's supposed to be coming in the next month or two. Now, I do have a couple dislikes, and a lot of them are just straight nitpicky, but the biggest dislike, or one of the things that bugs me the most about this particular camera, is why in the world we can't use the remote without having to get that WRT10 remote piece and stick it on the side. With this being a much smaller camera, you cannot use video out, the HDMI out, and use that accessory port at the same time. The WRT10 is just too large, and for some reason they made it in an L shape going up, which pretty much blocks the video port. So if you're wanting to use a video recorder and also the remote to start stop it, you're not going to be able to do that. My next issue with this particular camera has to do with a couple options in the buttons. I don't like that. I don't really care for the button mode lock modes. I don't really see what the reason for it is. Maybe someone with an older Nikon can tell me why we have to have one of these, but I would just prefer to be able to rotate this dial and put it on whatever mode I want whenever I want without having to press this extra button press that you need. The other feature with these buttons have to do with there's no lit buttons on the back, and you would think with a body at the price point that this one is, pretty much similar to D850, they'd be able to get you some lit buttons back here. When you're doing light painting or night photography, it's nice to be able to have the lit buttons. Otherwise, you got to do what I'm doing now, and that is putting a flashlight back here. So Nikon, let's get some lit buttons. Finally, there's no button combo to format your cards. I'm a guy that likes to keep my cards formatted. You're unable to format the cards without going through the menu, and it just seems like an oversight that they don't have a button combo, delete record, delete ISO, play, delete, something so that you could just format the cards and keep rolling. Currently, as it is today, third-party batteries don't work. If you put a third-party battery in this camera, you will see this error message right here. I personally don't like buying the Nikon batteries. They're too pricey, so I typically purchase third-party batteries all the time, and right now you're unable to utilize those. Autofocus. Now, there are several new autofocus modes. Area autofocus, they've got eye tracking, they've got eye tracking in an area. All of those work great. Let me rephrase it. All of those work very well, but they are still not up to like the Sony standard. The eye focus, you have to be pretty close for the eye focus to pick up. Face detection works pretty well at a distance, but the eye focus is still not quite there, but it is usable. The dog or the animal eye detect was not working very well for me. I have a Airedale, which is a brown coat and very dark eyes. There should have been enough contrast that it could pick that up, but it did not pick that up the majority of the times I tested it. SnapBridge. Real quick, SnapBridge seems to be a great product. I do use it quite a bit. I shoot RAW, have it send over the photos to my cell phone. I'm able to send those out to anybody pretty much immediately. However, I could not get the firmware update feature of SnapBridge to work with this particular camera. SnapBridge never noticed that there was an available firmware update, and I got a little antsy, so I didn't wait. I ended up downloading the update to my own card and doing an update. This particular update was fixing an issue with the autofocus, where whenever you use the flash, it overexposed the picture. Now, whenever you're using autofocus with a flash, it should not overexpose the photos. Finally, and this one's really nitpicky, there is no camera reference manual anymore. And I used to read that thing from front to back, and I would always find some new features, some new functions that I didn't know about that I could add into my repertoire and utilize. But now it's only PDF, so I'm gonna have to read it off my iPad. So in conclusion, the Nikon Z7 II is an awesome update to the Z7, coming from a Nikon D850, which I'm sure there's a lot of D850 users that are still out there. I think this is a worthy upgrade from the D850 to the Z7 II. Picture quality is phenomenal. With the Z lenses, you're able to get superior edge-to-edge sharpness. I don't think any of the F-mount lenses can get you the sharpness that you're going to get with, especially with these Z-mount lenses. If you're coming from a Z7, I think that's a personal call. With the dual X-speed processors, you're going to see that everything is much snappier, but I don't know if I would upgrade just for that. But if you got a D850, I think this is a must upgrade. This is a very good time to upgrade to the Z-mount cameras. Now, if you find these videos helpful, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell down there. It'll help my fledgling channel out a great deal. If there's anything you'd like to see covered, let me know. Send me a line and I'll try and incorporate it into my next line of videos. I've got a young guy that wants to see the frames per second in the different autofocus modes. So I'm going to try and take a video for him for that and see how that goes. But as always, this is Garrett from Garrett's Tech Lab. Peace.